And get this recording started and get this show on the road. Well, great afternoon again, great evening to some, and welcome to the Becoming Her 2.0. This is not a presentation, you guys. This is a guided experience. And today is about becoming the woman your next season requires. Because something shifts before it's visible. It shows up as restlessness, clarity, sometimes even discomfort. And if you're here, it's because you felt that shift. Many of us find ourselves in a space where we've outgrown who we used to be. I know I did. But we haven't fully stepped into who we're becoming yet. And that space can feel uncomfortable, uncertain, even a little confusing. But the truth is, that's where becoming happens. And that space is exactly why this room exists. Today, you're not just listening, you're moving through a journey. This experience is intentional and designed to take you through 4 key phases. See how we got to pivot, y'all? How we have to pivot. Every time you're becoming, there's always a phase where you have to pivot. Why you have to pivot. Oh my goodness. So this okay, y'all gonna have to, we gonna have to pause for a minute. We're gonna have to pause. Give me 1 second. We are going to resume the recording. So let's see where I left off. My becoming her journey. This is where I left off. And I said that this experience was intentionally designed to take you through 4 key phases. The first phase, you guys, that we're going to hit is foundation. This is where you get grounded in who you are. And then the next phase we go into is healing. This is where you release what no longer serves you. And then that next phase that we're going to talk about is activation. This is where you begin to move differently. And on the end, we're going to talk about confirmation, where you recognize exactly who you're becoming. And each voice you're about to hear represents a part of that journey. So let's start with this foundation piece. So here, before we begin and go into these 4 phases, I want to take a moment to share something with you guys very personal to me, because this journey, it did not just start with clarity. It started with the moment that changed everything. And I believe many of us have those moments where life forces us to see things differently. And for me, that moment came when I lost my dad. And that, you guys, was my never again moment. When my dad was in a nursing home, I remember feeling like I didn't have the options I thought I did. I couldn't change his environment. I couldn't shift the situation. And when he passed, I had to make a decision. Never again would I allow my life to be in this position where I didn't have any ability to choose something different. That moment changed how I saw everything. It made me realize I wanted more, not just more success, but more options, more flexibility, more control over my life. because from the outside, everything looked fine. I had stability, I had experience, had built a career, but internally, I knew I was being called into something more. And for a long time, I thought that meant that I needed to start over. But what I actually realized was I wasn't starting over. I was becoming her, the version of me that required more alignment, more discipline, more intention, the version of me that wasn't waiting for permission anymore, but was ready to choose differently. And once I understood that, y'all, everything began to shift. And I realized this wasn't just about me, because the same shift I experienced is the same shift so many people are going through right now. People who look like they have it all together, but know there's more inside of them. People who are doing everything right, but still feel like something is missing. People who are ready for more, but aren't exactly sure what the next step looks like yet. And that's why this matters, because becoming is something we all experience. And I want to remind y'all why this space exists, because I wanted to be clear about something. This isn't a speaker event. This isn't just a series of people coming up to share information or tell their individual stories. This is a guided experience. And every voice that y'all about to hear from has been intentionally selected. I personally selected them because they represent a part of my journey, a part of the process, a part of the growth, and a part of becoming. So let's start with the foundation, because before you can move forward, you have to get grounded. Grounded in who you are, grounded in what you value, and grounded in the direction you're being called to move in. Because if your foundation isn't solid, everything else feels off. And for many people, this is the step they skip. They try to move forward without first getting aligned. And that's why this next voice is so important. Miss Betty Brown represents what it looks like to stay grounded and consistent, even when things aren't easy. And for many of you, this is where your journey begins, getting clear and rooted in who you are. I want you all to put your virtual hands together or your physical hands together and welcome who I affectionately call Mama Betty. Come on up, Mama Betty. We got to get you unmuted first. Hold on. There you go.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Dree. Dree is what I affectionately call her. You may know her as Adrian or Andrian, however you pronounce it, but Dree is my girl. That's what I call her. And so I just want to discuss exactly what she wanted us to talk about. And she wanted me to talk about consistency, leadership, and foundation. And when she asked me to speak about that, I smiled. And you know why? Because those three words are Dree Fudge. That she just described herself. So people often think becoming happens in one big breakthrough moment. But in my experience, becoming happens in the small, faithful decisions repeated over and over again. And that is what I saw in Dree. So when I first met really got to know her, I saw a woman already carrying so much. She was corporate leadership, motherhood, and caregiving, marriage, ministry. She really just had a big service and a big heart for taking care of other people and doing it with grace. But what impressed me most was not just what she carried, it was how she carried it. That brings me to her second topic, which is consistency. Dree is consistent. When we began working together, she showed up. If we set a goal, she worked it. If we had a strategy, she applied it. If there was coaching, she implemented it. Not sometimes, but consistently. And let me tell you something, consistency is what turns potential into results. It turns talent and it may open the door, but consistency keeps you in the room. Andrea understood that. She wasn't looking for shortcuts. She was willing to build back and hold on, brick by brick. So that's and that takes me to foundation. Now, leadership is, and then what we talk, people think about leadership starts when you get a little, just get a little bit of it. And I teach that leadership starts long before the title. You become it before you wear it. And Andrea embraced that. She learned how to lead by serving, how to lead by duplicating, how to lead by lifting others. And what I loved about coaching her was she was teachable. She's coachable, stretchable. Those are leadership qualities because great leaders are still willing to learn. So the last topic is going to be foundation. And I often told Dree, let's not just get you to the next level in our personal business. Let's build you so solid that when you get there, you know how to stay there and go beyond. That was the foundation work, not chasing rank, building roofs, building roots, not chasing success, building structure. And because she did that work, she moved into what I call the money zone. I've heard a lot of people repeating that now, and where purpose and production meet. So hear me, it wasn't accidental, it was built. And that's why Dree's message, Becoming Her, is so powerful. Because I have watched her becoming, not overnight, but layer by layer, faith by faith, decision by decision. I watched her becoming. And what she has become is a woman of substance, a woman of influence, a woman of foundation. So if I could but leave one thought, it would be this: becoming doesn't begin when life gets easy. It begins when you stay consistent through difficulty, lead before you have a title, and build a foundation strong enough to carry your purpose. Dree has done all that, and I am honored to have witnessed part of that journey. Dree, I celebrate who you have become, and even more, who you are still becoming. I love you, girl. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Mama Betty. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hold myself together with all of that. I was like, I started feeling my nerves started kicking in. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm just melting on the inside. But thank you so very, very much. You totally, talked about all those things that, we discussed and everything that has like really grounded me in this becoming. Like so many different things that I got from you from day one. And, you ended it by saying, because of that, I'm in my money zone. And I just want to honor you and thank you, because anybody that I know that walk this path and we get a chance to meet Mama Betty, we ain't going to be able to stay where we are. We got to keep moving forward, and we will continue to grow until we, hit our goals. And we're all here to support each other. So I love you as well. And thank you so much for being a part of our becoming experience.
You're welcome.
So she have set the tone for you guys. And as you know, foundation is everything, but we're about to build on something. And so the next person that I want you guys to hear from, the next voice, Miss Carmen Ray, has a way of helping you see beyond where you are into what's truly possible. Y'all, we call her the connector. And, I've seen, this lady do some amazing things. And, in terms of our connection, we're just getting started. And for many of you, she's going to help you see what clarity exactly is and what you need in this season. And so, without further ado, I want to bring up to the virtual stage Mrs. Carmen Ray. Miss Carmen Ray, come on and take it away for us.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dree. I appreciate it. I would love hearing the message and the connection between our director in training in our company, Betty Brown, and how she gave you your accolades on all that you've accomplished. So, good evening, everybody. I want y'all to do me a quick favor before I get started. When you hear the word vision, just put one word in the chat so I can go back and read it after I speak with you for a moment. Just, I want to know, when you think of the word vision, what does that mean for you? Just one word, because that one word is sometimes the very thing that we need to make sure that our vision manifests. So again, thank you so much, Dree, for the opportunity to share a little bit about my story and vision. My name is Carmen Ray. I currently reside in Lithia Springs, Georgia. Prior to that, I spent 10 years in Arizona and born and raised in the Midwest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So let's talk a little bit about vision. When I talk about vision, I try to avoid discussing dreams first, because when we think of vision, we think sometimes it comes by way of a dream. It's not something that's really tangible that we can touch and feel and apply in our life. I'd rather for us to talk about vision as it relates to making a decision. So, because real vision shows us that when you're carrying responsibility, it's easy to think about vision when it's just a light road ahead of you. But when you are really on purpose and you understand that vision can still manifest in the thick of carrying responsibilities. For over 30 years, I've been a traditional business owner and entrepreneur. I opened up a childcare center in Milwaukee that cost nearly $50,000 to start. Every 2 weeks, I, along with my family, carried the responsibility of a $14,000 minimum payroll every 2 weeks. It did allow me to earn six figures and to support my family, staff, but it also came with pressure, Tracy. Pressure, Wani, liability, and it was a constant sacrifice. It was rewarding, but at the same time, it was exhausting, Brenda. It was so depleting. And eventually, I had to ask myself a powerful questions. The older we get, y'all, we start asking ourselves different types of questions. At 63 now, I'm asking myself different questions than when I asked myself when I was in my 30s. I started asking myself 9 years ago, before I looked at expanding my business portfolio, is there another way to build wealth, build community, and be able to do it without sacrificing the things and the people that meant the most? So when I was introduced to an amazing company called Planet Marketing, and the collaboration between Planet Marketing and Teletravel 9 years ago, I saw something different, not just a business, but a vehicle. I saw a $200 opportunity that allowed me to take my 30 years of entrepreneurship and turn it into something that was duplicatable, something that did not only depend on my efforts, but it supported, it acknowledged, it compensated me for collaboration, something I love doing anyway. And that's when my vision became real. My vision wasn't just about making money because I had done that, made it, lost it, made it, lost it, because money can come and go. But purpose is the thing that stays with us with our vision forever. It was really about, for me, is creating options. So what if I could build something that women entrepreneurs could step into without needing buildings, licensing, and all of that stuff, payroll or massive startup costs? What if they could begin building something alongside their 9 to 5 or their corporate careers without walking away from stability right away, but something they could build along the way, like Denise Hutton did? She was already in her career, she was preparing for retirement, so she got started building her business before then. And so this is something that could complement whatever you're already doing. So what if we could come together from different backgrounds, different family dynamics, different starting points, and leverage a $9 trillion industry to build something sustainable for ourselves, our family, and our communities? That became my vision, to build a brand within a brand. So in 2018, I partnered with Michael DeMond and a few other people that supported my vision. And I launched a Be Well Travel and Lifestyle magazine, a platform designed to support women entrepreneurs through travel, wellness, business, and business experiences. And for the past 13 years, I have had the privilege of hosting retreats for women entrepreneurs, creating spaces where women can step away, reflect, grow, and expand their vision. In fact, I'm just returning yesterday from our 13th annual retreat on a celebrity cruise, and I'm already looking forward to our 14th annual cruise, where Becoming Her will be one of our featured sponsors. That's what vision does, y'all. It starts as an ideal, but with consistency, community, and the right vehicle, it becomes a movement. And that's exactly what I see happening with Dree. She saw something inside herself that deserved structure. She saw that her voice had value, and she made a decision, put that word in the chat. Some of us are just indecisive, but we need to make a decision today. And she made a decision to build something that could serve others. That's what Becoming Her represents. Not just healing, but yes, healing. Not just growth, but yes, we do need growth, but expansion. Expansion into ownership, expansion into leadership, and possibilities. And what I want every woman entrepreneur listening today to understand is this: your vision is not too small, and your experience is not wasted, and your dreams are not out of reach. But vision requires action. It requires choosing the right vehicle, which we are, many of us on the line today, we have the right vehicle. It requires choosing the right community. Dree is really building the right community, and it requires choosing to surround yourself with people who can help you to grow into who you are becoming. So, my call to action today is simple. I want you all to connect deeper with Dree. Stay connected to the Becoming Her movement. Be a part of the foundation that she's building now, because what she is creating today is very much the beginning of something great that's about to unfold. So, because Becoming Her begins the moment you all decide for yourself differently. Decide on something that curates and nurture and grows your vision. Thank you so much, Dree, for giving me the opportunity to share and be a part of your amazing movement.
Yes, yes, yes. Director Carmen, yes, she gave that to us and just made it full circle as we move through this experience. And I thank you both, Mama Betty and Director Carmen, because what they just gave us, you guys, was clarity. Clarity about who we are and what's possible. Um, Director Carmen talked about her story, how she got started, and she also talked about how she was able to pivot and build on that vision and expand with an opportunity she has now, and then with her connection, because we know she's the master connector, tapping in to other people in her network to help her build something big. And I have personally been able to benefit from that, because one thing I want to share with you guys is I never ever saw myself in a magazine. I never saw myself in a magazine. And to know that in my home, I have a printed magazine with an article that I wrote, y'all, when that magazine landed, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, where have this been all of my life? And so I want to thank and honor you, Director Carmen, for your vision in terms of us, people, women of color, having an opportunity to have a voice and be able to put our stories out there. And like you said, we're just getting started. We just getting started. You got off that ship yesterday, and the planning for the next cruise start right away. And the fact that I'm a sponsor, oh my goodness, and cruises are my love languages anyway. So I could not pass up on that opportunity. And because of you, I have an opportunity to really showcase my brand on a celebrity cruise. And y'all, it's a newer cruise ship. So we're gonna have some fun. So we'll be, sharing that information in the near future. But thank you so much, Director Carmen and Mama Betty, for laying the foundation. And because we need that clarity, you guys. And before we step into step into what we're building on fully, we have to be honest about what we've been carrying. We have to be honest about that. And so that's our next phase that we're going to move into, because growth doesn't just require clarity, it requires release. So we're going to talk about this growth piece. And this is where the journey becomes deeper, because growth doesn't just require clarity, it requires honesty. Honesty about what needs to shift, what needs to be released, and what can no longer come with you. And that's why this next voice is so important. Mrs. Wanyata Carter Foster brings a level of truth and alignment that challenges you to look inward and be honest about what needs to shift. So I want you guys to put your virtual hands together and welcome one of my daily accountability partners, Wanyata Carter Foster. Put your hands together for her.
Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you see me?
Yes, we can hear you and see you.
Thank you. Listen, she got me going behind two awesome powerhouses, right? You all, they dropped some good nuggets. So I'm gonna go right into it. Thank you so much, Dree, my AP, my accountability partner, for allowing me to be on this platform. I appreciate it. So when we are talking about becoming her, you cannot avoid the truth, living out of alignment and ignoring your healing when you're trying to become her or becoming her. Because many of us are trying to elevate. While we're trying to elevate it, we're still trying to hold on old mindsets, old wounds, and old habits. Just by knowing Dree these past 3 years, she had to put aside some old habits. She had to put aside some old mindsets, even myself, some old wounds, to be able to blossom into what God is calling us to do. You can't talk about truth without talking about God. So I don't. It's not that type of event, but that's truth, because what that really says is that version of you where you thought you were trying to go, You cannot go anymore because he's going to move you. And so he cannot take you and use you when you think in old ways or you trying to do and have old habits. So this next version of you becoming yourself, you have to be able to get uncomfortable. Director Carmen, you cannot be delusional, right? That's my word. You cannot be distracted, and you cannot be playing small when you are becoming her. You have to die. Let those old things die away, right? And then and also truth doesn't shame you, it frees you. So put in the chat, when you hear the word truth, what does that really mean? We cannot lie to ourselves. We got to tell ourselves the truth. And guess what? When you tell yourself the truth, you take that power back. And the next thing I want to talk about, when you knowing your truth, you also have to be in alignment. And when you're in alignment with your truth, your action match your goals, your habits match your prayers. You cannot want a new life with old habits. You cannot walk in purpose with an old mindset. We have what's called the Inspiration Morning Vitamin with Planet Marketing, and they teaches us all the time. You have to have a new mindset in new levels, new things. You have to die away from discipline. Miss Betty talked about being consistent and staying focused. You have to stay focused. And when you stand focused, it's going to align with everything that you do and say. And so when you hear the word alignment, what does that really mean to you? Does that mean that you're going to stay consistent? Do you need to do everything? No, you just got to position yourself correctly, right? 40/40 is coming up. We're going to be talking about so much, but becoming her is definitely in alignment with what Dree is representing. She shared some things with me personally, and everything that she has went through was in alignment with what she went through. And guess what? By being in alignment, you have to be able to heal. Your healing, what does healing mean? That means some of you are stuck or you're wounded. You're still holding on to old pain, old disappointment, old hurt, and you cannot carry pain and fully walk in purpose. Healing says, I release what no longer serves me. Release those things. Let them go. Forgiving and choosing peace. Say to yourself, I am healing every day. Because you cannot move forward, your healing has not taken place. While holding on to that and you're still broken, you're not being healed. So allow yourself to heal from old wounds, allow yourself to heal from old mindsets, allow yourself to heal from disappointments, and be honest with yourself. Because guess what? Becoming her is not perfect. Her is honest. Her, I'm sorry, I'm using broken English right now. The directing is going to get me. Her is honest. Her is aligned. Her is healed. Her is willing to release the old version. So ask yourself, what old mindset do I need to release? What habits needs to be shifted? And what wounds need to be healed? And remember, the version of you cannot go where you're going or where you're called to go. So again, I say to Dree and to all of you on here, remember, so just hear this, just move. Don't just hear what I'm saying, move and allow that old version of yourself to become who God has called you to be. And release the old version. I choose truth. I walk in alignment. I commit to healing. And I am becoming her who God has called me to be. Thank you so much, Dree, for this time. And you all have a great and wondrous day.
Thank you so much, Wani. Oh my goodness, y'all give her some hand claps, virtual hand claps, show us some love. Um, oh my goodness, Wani. I was like, I didn't go to church today or get any kind of church, but I feel like I got a message out of that. Absolutely. You brought it home for me. You reminded me that every day I am healing. Every day I'm healing. And so I'm gonna speak that every single day. I am healing every day. I am healing every day. And I'm sure that we have some women in the room that can certainly relate to everything that you've shared. That level of truth requires courage, you guys, because once you're honest about what needs to shift, the next step isn't force, it's grace. And I find myself having to give myself grace every single day, y'all. Like, I'm so hard on myself at times, but that's what all of this becoming has been, like giving myself grace in the moments. And I've learned to pivot so much, just having gone through a lot of things in life. I had to give myself grace. I had to give myself grace with the process. I had to give myself grace with what I'm learning to release. And the next voice that I want you guys to hear from, um, she's going to be able to, share some things with us too, to go deeper into that healing and her own experience in this exact lane that we're talking about, in this healing lane. And so, without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Miss Jacqueline Delane, who has a way of creating space for you to give yourself permission to let go, permission to grow, and permission to become. So without further ado, I want y'all to put your virtual hands together and welcome up Miss Jackie Delane.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Dree, for this opportunity. She did ask me to share a little bit about my story, and I will do that within the confines of grace, permission, and healing, which is what she assigned to me. I do have to say, Wani must have been looking at my notes because when I tell you, she said so much of what I had written in my notes, but maybe that's why we're in the kind of like the same category with this presentation. Excuse my voice. Of course, I caught a cold while I was on the Celebrity cruise ship, but I mean, I'm doing pretty good. So what I wanted to say about becoming her, and this is related to my own personal story. It might be different from your story because we're all unique. And so we all have different experiences in life. So, but becoming her for me wasn't so much about becoming something new. It was about returning to who I always was. And so when I think about becoming her, I love this title that Dree has come up with for her brand because I think all of us, well, most at least of us as women, we have to think about what we're becoming, how we're evolving, because that's what becoming really is in my life. It's evolving into who you always was or who you always wanted to be. So, just a little bit about my background. I'm retired. I live in the state of Illinois. I was a caregiver for many, many years ago for my son, who at the age of 13 was diagnosed with leukemia and who passed away at the age of 15. So I was a caregiver then, still working a full time job, but I was much younger, so it was easy for me to just snap back. I physically was doing everything I needed to do during his sickness, but once he passed away, it completely tore me up on the inside to the point where I literally would go to work, come home, get in my bed in a fetal position and cry myself to sleep. So that was the beginning of my caregiving role. So anyway, I worked my way through that. It's still an ongoing thing because there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my son. And my son would be turning 47 in July if he were still alive. And Betty knows, Betty was there through all of it. And so that's part of when I thought about becoming her, becoming who I was when life was pretty simple, when life was easy, when the biggest thing was go clean up your room or something. Can I go outside and ride my bike and things like that? So, anyway, I just wanted to point out that That was the beginning, but I didn't even know that was the beginning. So then some years later, my mom had a heart valve issue. And so her doctor had been telling her for many, many years she was going to need to have her heart valve replaced. She didn't want to do it for a long time. She finally made up her mind to do it. My dad was against it. He didn't want her to have it done. The doctor felt like if you don't do it now, we don't want you coming through the emergency room and having to have this done. So, anyway, she decided to do it. It was supposed to be a 5-day hospital stay. It turned into 97 days. And so every single day she was in the hospital, I was there. My dad went during the day when I was at work, I went after work. So it was extremely stressful. But I just knew that coming from a family where I never had brothers and sisters. So it was always me, my mom, and my daddy. And so whatever they needed from me, I was going to be there. And I don't regret any of it. So that was like another chunk. That was another thing that just took my gut out. So, anyway, long story short, I'm not going to go into all the details, but all the medicines they gave her, all this stuff, it really wrecked her kidneys. So, Betty knows that next part. So, her kidneys, the next thing we know, she needs to be put on dialysis. When she was on dialysis, all of us walked up into the dialysis clinic. It was all of us. We were all there, sitting there while she was getting dialysis. So that was the next chunk. Then my mom passed in 2016. Well, in 2009, my husband hit a deer. We were in the car coming back from a football game at the school I worked at. It was by 11 o'clock at night. And he's driving. I'm on the passenger side. He never saw the deer. He hit the deer. His head he didn't hit the steering wheel, but it lunged forward. And from that moment on, he became confused. And that led into him being diagnosed with dementia. He was sick with dementia from 2009 until he passed in 2019. And when I tell you that was the hardest road for me, because I don't know if anybody who's seeing this now or may see this in the future have ever had to be a caregiver for somebody with dementia. It is not easy at all. It takes everything from you. So anyway, my husband passed in 2019. So then my dad is still here, but he's not doing well. In 2018, I went to pick him up to take him somewhere. He comes out of his building and he starts walking backwards. I knew something was wrong. So I called 911. Turns out he had had a stroke. So anyway, so then I began to, take care of him even more than I was from the point when my mom had passed. So when that happened to my dad, I literally was at his place every single day. I had to cook every single meal for him. I take to the barbershop, to all his doctor's appointments, everything. I don't regret a bit of it. My point is, this puts your body in fight or flight mode every single day. And our nervous system is not designed to handle that every day. It's designed to handle that in times of danger, not every single day you're faced with this. So, getting back to the topic that Dre assigned me, and it all flows. So, grace is giving yourself permission to evolve. That's what becoming her is for me. So I don't criticize my past or anything that I had to endure because I believe we're all built a certain way for a certain time for a certain reason. But it honors my growth. So I'm no longer there. I'm not a caregiver. I don't have to be there. And so that's why for me self-care became what I had to rely on. It was rooted in grace. And then permission. So I had to give myself permission to choose myself because for so many years I didn't have the option. It wasn't that someone was telling me I couldn't choose myself. That wasn't it at all. It was because I love hard and I loved my loved ones and I was going to be there to see about them, to do whatever I could. But once that time had kind of, moved on in my life, I had to give myself permission. Okay, now I can choose me. I no longer have to seek permission to take care of myself, because I'm taking care of somebody else. So I'm going to take care of me. And then we have healing. And for me, healing is the foundation of becoming. It's not optional, not for me. It's essential. So I have a self-care journey. I told you about some of the obstacles that I had to go through in life. And my self-care journey on October 30th, 2019, I still remember the date. I woke up with self-care unapologetically all over me. God has a way of working with me, and it's typically when I first wake up things will be revealed to me. And many times that's why I like slow mornings. I don't like to wake up and got to rush and do this and that, because that's when I typically hear from him. So I woke up with self-care unapologetically. I didn't even know what it meant. My dad was still living at the time. He passed in 2020, but I was taking care of him daily still then. And so I woke up with self-care unapologetically. And I remember I started a self care unapologetically Facebook page or group, and I would put stuff on there. And then I started talking to my pastor about having a self care ministry at our church. And so that was launched in January of 2022, because between 2019 and 2022, I was just working on what this whole thing was meaning, what it meant to me. And so we launched that. We started having quarterly events at the church. We started acknowledging the International Self Care Day that celebrated all over the world in various ways. So that's what I did then. And then last year, we hosted for the first time a self care International Day at a park. And from that, several of the people who attended asked, what else were we going to do? Let's do something else. So then we launched that next month Self Care Synergy and Wellness Circle Facebook group that's still active right now. We have over 300 people in that group right now. And what's different about us in that group is that we let other people who implement self care in their life pour into us as well. Because I'm a firm believer, I don't know all there is to know about self care. I only know my journey. I don't know someone else's journey. So I love to see what other people share on that page about how they're implementing self care. And so I want to close with self care is how I maintain the woman I become. It's not about perfection, it's all about alignment. And so when I think about becoming her, just like with self care, what I think about is alignment, not perfection. With grace, I release who I used to be. With permission, I choose myself. And through healing, I rise into who I'm becoming. Thank you so much, Dree.
Thank you, Miss Jackie. Y'all give Miss Jackie a round of applause, virtual hand applause, love. We appreciate you so much for sharing your story. Oh my goodness. Knowing that everyone in your immediate family at some point you had to care for them and then they transitioned on. I can't even imagine that. I've had to, encounter some things myself personally, but that level of grace is what allows us to truly let go. Because once you've given yourself permission, once you've released what no longer serves you, you're left with a decision. So, my question for all of you all is, what do you do next? Because we've talked about a number of things. We have our foundation, and then we've gone through healing. So, what do you do next? And so once you've taken the time to get grounded and you've been willing to release what no longer serves you, the question becomes, what do you do next? Because awareness alone doesn't create change. Clarity doesn't create change. Release doesn't create change. Movement does. And this is where many people get stuck, not because they don't know, but because they don't move. Not because they're not capable, but because they're unsure. Or they're afraid, or they're waiting for the perfect moment. But becoming requires movement. It requires ownership and a decision to move forward differently. And that's why this next voice is so important. And I'm thinking about how Ms. Jackie talked about self-care. I definitely have been able to tap into that piece. I went to that event that she had, and I have a self-care t-shirt, and I love wearing it. I've worn it to the gym. I've worn it out and about, because it's my reminder that I have to make self-care a priority for myself unapologetically. And so the person I'm going to bring up next, oh my goodness, you guys, she's going to tell y'all a little bit about her story. But Miss Denisha Kennard represents what it looked like to make a decision and commit to it. Not just talk about change, but actually do the work. As the fly, curvy, fit coach, she didn't just transform physically. She made a decision to show up differently, consistently, with discipline, and with intention. She's modeled what it looks like to get knocked down by life and make the decision to get back up. And not just for herself, but to build something that inspires others to do the same. I totally have been inspired by that, her journey. And that kind of transformation, y'all, only happens through action. So I want y'all to put y'all virtual hands together and welcome Denisha. Come on up, Denisha.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Dree. I just wanted to take this conversation to so many different places. When I was sitting here listening to everybody, I'm like, wow, I am truly still becoming her. I saw myself then, I see what I'm going through now, and I can definitely continue to see myself growing and becoming her. So thank you. I think that you chose the best pillars for me, because it's exactly what I live. I'm all about action. You chose ownership, execution, and activation. For me, that equals ownership, accountability, ownership and accountability in action. So truthfully, we're just doing it. So first of all, again, good afternoon. I am so nervous, y'all, but I'm so excited. I get so crazy when I get ready to talk about anything with fitness, y'all, anything to better your health. But this is what it is, y'all. You have to own it. You have to simply own it. What does that look like exactly? That means making a decision, making it plain, executing, holding yourself accountable, and following through. So ownership is accountability in action, truthfully. So my name is Denisha Kennard, as she introduced me. I am the Curvy Fly Fit Coach. I am the CEO and founder of Fly Fitness First Love Yourself. I help women build strength, confidence, and sustainable habits for women who are ready to commit to this lifestyle. I'm a busy mother of 3, and I'm a woman who just I'm deciding to finally commit to the lifestyle and first love myself. So I've lost 100 pounds multiple times, which means I've lost it, gained it, and had to find my way back. But because, I'm sorry. And I just got so crazy, y'all. I'm just had too many thoughts going through my mind right now. And this last journey just hit completely different though, because it wasn't about me losing weight this time. I already knew I could do that. I did that several times already. The real issue was I wasn't ready to fully commit to what it was going to take for me to get there. And truthfully, that's where most people struggle. So like Dree said before, most people don't struggle because they lack the knowledge, not even because of lack of commitment, not even because necessarily a lack of accountability. For me, the crazy part is I was already a coach. I was already helping people. I knew exactly what to do, but knowing it and doing it is 2 different things, right? So I was super ashamed to show myself again after gaining all the weight after I had my third daughter. It was right in the middle of COVID. You know, everybody knew how much weight I lost before. And at that time, it was 140 pounds. And I was super embarrassed to step back in the scene, but not realizing that same thing that was making me ashamed was the very thing that was going to inspire and help other people. So here I am, first loving myself and teaching other people how to do the same thing. And this is what it took. It took me really to make a decision, a real one though, a real decision. Put myself first again, letting go of the guilt for choosing me. Creating the non-negotiables. That means that I'm doing the things whether no matter what else is happening, everything goes on pause before until I take care of me. That just has to happen. Honoring my commitment daily. That is a no-brainer. That's just something that has to happen for me as well. And holding myself accountable. When I say I'm gonna stick to something, that's what I truly mean. I have to stick to it. So I had to choose me again, and I had to do it without guilt. Excuse me. So what did that look like and how did I get started necessarily? So I literally just started off with 3 days a week. I just said, you know what? I'm gonna get up and get active. It looked so overwhelming to me to try to eat right in the kitchen, do all the things. I needed that instant gratification. I got out there. I decided to go to the gym actually in 2020, 3 days out of the week. That then grew into 5 days a week. But the key wasn't just for me to how often I went. It was actually just me committing to what I said I was going to do, me showing up for it. That's where it all counted. So if I missed a day, I didn't go to sleep. I didn't let that sleep slip under the rug. I held myself accountable. Literally the next day, that just got added on to the things I had to do. So that's what owning looks like. So not every day was perfect. Still to this day, not everything is perfect. Some days you won't feel like it. Most days for me, I don't feel like it, but it's become such a habit for me now. The way the way I'm set up now, if I miss something, y'all, it's like leaving your earrings or your cell phone at the house. Like I feel lost all day. So it's just a part of me now. So some days the assignment is truly just showing up. Are you going to do it? Are you going to come? So that's the big thing. So the strength truly comes, the strength and the confidence is built every time you show up when you truly don't want to, but you show up anyway. So what that did for me is built the confidence, it built the discipline, it built the trust that I once lost in myself. And that's what I feel like everybody else needs to start doing again. You just got to show up. Everything else will start following. So every time you show up, you prove yourself that you can trust you again. So I didn't just commit to the working out though. I had to fully commit to the lifestyle. And this is where I feel most people struggle at as well, because we only want to commit to one part of it, but we know that nutrition goes with it as well. Everything goes hand in hand. And so when you choose to start healing yourself from the inside out, that means you're giving your body the nutrition that it properly needs to where it does what it's supposed to do. You don't even have to think about it. You feel it and it's going to do it. So that's what I did. I added fitness with the nutrition. I started eating to nourish my body and eating foods that actually fuel my body, changing my mindset on food and how it looks. Listen, I take my time. I prepare my food with intention and I live a balanced life. So I don't go without. I just make anything that's going to fuel me, that's going to add to what it is that I'm doing with goals and everything else. That's what's for me. So I didn't just change how I look. I changed how I live. And so I truly live this. So my biggest takeaways is for people not to feel like you can't do anything. I say start with the minimum. Just go walking every day, but you can't hold on to that every day, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm gonna go work out and just do 30 minutes a day. That's it. Or, 3 times a week. If you are truly wanting to commit to this has to become something to do every day. We look at working out as it's a punishment, but it's truly a privilege for us to be able to do that. So when you are honoring the commitment that you made for yourself every day, that is truly the confidence that you are beginning to build within yourself. You got to show up, even though you don't feel like it. I promise you that's where the confidence is built. And next thing you know, you are doing it without even thinking about it. You get so confident and encouraged to start doing other things because you just realize you accomplished that thing. And, you start winning in every other area in your life. So owning it means holding yourself accountable to the life you said you wanted. You said it, friend. You said you wanted this. So you got to stick to what comes with that. So because confidence doesn't come from thinking about it, it comes from showing up for yourself over and over and over again. So that follow through is real. So in closing, I just want everybody to know that wellness is available for everybody, but it's only available to those who are ready to commit. So if you're not ready to commit to everything that comes with it, and it doesn't mean you have to show up perfect. I think Ms. Jackie said it's not about perfection. It's about you doing it consistently. It's about you doing it without all the things, because life is going to happen. There's never going to be a perfect time. You got to create those moments. Be real selfish with yourself. Self-love is not selfish. And that's what I had to realize when I had to continue choosing myself over my kids. I thought I was doing something wrong, but not realizing that I began to give them the best version of myself when I truly started pouring into me. So owning your journey means committing to the lifestyle, and then everything else is going to take its course. Excuse me. And doing that means choosing yourself without guilt. So stop starting over, commit to the lifestyle, and start owning it. And that's what I do with Fly Fitness. And that's how I live the lifestyle. First, love yourself, y'all. I thank you so much, Dree.
Yes, y'all give Denisha hand clap, love in the chat, love. Denisha is that voice for the last year. She has been that voice for me, y'all. I've struggled with, starting and stopping and starting and stopping. At one point I had a personal trainer in a group fitness environment that I can plug in. And I have been, on a search for that again. And in the meantime, Denisha, had come on the scene and, shared that she had, set up this program where we can plug in virtually because she in Arizona. And so our times were different, but occasionally I could plug into a workout or whatever. But she had a community that I can see and plug into. And I remember the community had like little challenges, and I saw myself moving up on the scoreboard and everything. And so she has been that voice for me. Should I go to the gym? Should I go to the gym? I know I need to get back on my food. So Denisha, I appreciate her. Me and her talk very often about, the choices we make and the decisions we make. And I finally came across a place close to me, literally 3 minutes from my house. I actually could walk that mile if I wanted to the gym, but y'all know I'm not doing it in the dark. So I work out at 5 in the morning, so I ain't doing it early in the morning. But thank you so much, Denisha, for being here and showing what it looks like to have that level of discipline. It really creates real transformation. And you have modeled that for us time and time again. You've modeled that for me. And that's why I know that I am also capable of releasing some weight that I've been holding on to for the last 7 years. I need to go back in the other direction and it's a matter of making a decision, right? And so I know once, we start moving, you have to know how to build it. And that's why this next voice is so important. He is the only male that I've invited to the room, right? We're talking about becoming her. But when I talk about Mr. Michael DeMond Campbell, you guys, he has had a way of helping me understand that growth isn't just about something you feel, right? It's something you build. And for many of you, the question now is not if you're ready, but how you move forward. So I want y'all to put y'all virtual hands together. And I want y'all, I call them the GOAT of systems. Director Carmen hit up on, this earlier when she talked about in her segment, but Mike, man, he is the GOAT. He has given us so much. He is the reason why I'm not afraid to use AI for every area of my life. And so I want Mike to come on up and share as we close out this activation lane, share with us today. Come on up, Mike.
All right. Hey, Dree, can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Good.
can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here as part of the group, being the only guy holding it down and representing. I promise to do well. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Michael DeMond Campbell, and as Dree said, I today am a systems builder. As I was sitting here listening to everyone share their story, I'm thinking about the format of this event and how it all unfolds. I don't know that everybody picked up on the way that this was structured. We started in one place and we're ending in another. So if you missed it, I'm going to kind of recap it as I tell my story and kind of take you along the journey of how I became who I am today and why I do what I do today. We started out talking about the vision and being awakened and what it's like to have an idea about the life you want to live, who you could be, and your dreams and your desires. All that was kind of wrapped up in the first section. From there, and this is something that we are going to go through, anybody who's gone through this process, or maybe you're in the middle of this process of realizing that there's something greater for you out there and you're not quite sure what you need to do or what the next step is, but you know there just has to be something. You go through this process where you start to kind of take inventory of your life. And I always tell people, like, what has God prepared you for today? What has life led you to? What experiences have you had? And how do you take those things and use them to your advantage? All of us are unique in a way that you heard all these different stories and you heard how people were able to heal and to prioritize themselves and figure out what that next thing is. So when you think about this process and the way that we talked about everything today, the last step is typically going to be taking action and doing the things. Oftentimes people don't do the things because they feel like they don't have the right plan, they don't have the right people around them, they haven't healed and they haven't prioritized themselves, and they're not able to build the thing that they really need to build. I went through this entire process. Becoming in general is usually kicked off by some event, sometimes unexpected, sometimes something that was very damaging and very hurtful for you. Sometimes it's often something that's totally unexpected. I remember working a job in corporate America, and I remember coming to work on a Friday. It was a normal day, had my coffee, doing all the routine things you do, when you go to work in a corporate environment. Walking in, and I noticed the vibe was just a little bit off, but I'm thinking, okay, it's Friday. Maybe a lot of people are out of the office. Couple hours go by, I'm starting to see the room get emptier and emptier and emptier. And I realized what was happening. People were being laid off that day. And in that moment, I realized that all of these people that I've been working with for the 4 years that I've been at this company, many of them had been there for decades, had dedicated themselves to that company and to that work, came to work that day not knowing that that was going to be their last day. And that was the catalyst for me in order to figure out how I'm going to become the next person that I need to be. Because I never wanted to be in the situation where unexpectedly somebody can alter the whole way that I provide for my family and I keep my mental stability. Like all of those things change for those people in that moment. So that kicked off a whole, I would say, 6 months of me going through this process at an accelerated rate. I was not at risk and I was not laid off, but I felt vulnerable. And I knew that I could not base my whole future off of that circumstance because I can end up one day being just like the other people that came to work that day, unknowingly, not knowing that it was their last day. Jackie talked earlier about fight or flight, and I really made note of that because she said that instinct in us was not meant to be something that you go through every day. That's meant to be something that helps you survive in case of crisis. But I think about people that I know personally, people that I've helped as clients. A lot of us, especially when it comes to like financial, the ability to maintain ourselves, are in fight or flight every day. And one of the things that I know that a lot of people just simply don't leverage is themselves. They don't prioritize themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They don't know that they have the capacity to be able to do those greater things that they dream to do. So everybody that you heard from prior to me has gone through a journey, and I've heard many of the stories because we're all connected in the same business and industry. And even though we all have our own unique experiences, we've all found some solution in being part of this business and in being able to allow ourselves to become that next greater thing. So, what I want to leave with you today, and what brought me into the stage today, is I've been working with Dree ever since she had her awakening moment. I remember her telling me in the beginning when we first met that, oh, I'm going to soon be doing this, and things are going to change for me. This is the life that I want. And she had checked all these things off the box. She decided what she wanted. She took action. She prioritized her time. When Dree told me that she was coming to get some coaching and some consulting so that we can build the things she needed to build, it was there. It was done. So she did the execution that Denisha talked about. It was all laid out. So if you came to this event today with any type of vision that's unrealized about who you want to be and how you want to live your life, I'm hoping that you picked up on all the different things, all the context clues that were shared throughout this event today. If you're here, you most likely know Dree, and you're already in a good position to be connected to all the wonderful people that were here on this call in order for you to be able to do whatever that next thing is for you. I got to the place of where I am today of being a person who can talk about strategy and structure and activation because I also went through that same process. And every time it's time for me to become the next version of me, I repeat. So I don't want you to think that becoming is ever going to be this one-time thing. I used to actually fear, like, what if I get caught in this ongoing loop of always becoming something else, becoming something else? I don't know why, but I was just like, I feel like there's not going to be an end. But every time I've gone through this evolution of rising to the next level, there's new things that are opened up that I never thought, new perspectives that I gain, new ways to live life and enjoy life. All this is going to be worth it. So it might be challenging, it might be difficult. You know, you're going to feel isolated at times. You're going to feel like nobody understands. But as long as you stay plugged into the community that Dree has built and is continuing to build, and you leverage the connections and the relationships of the people who are here who spoke to you today, I promise, I promise, I promise, you do the work and you will get to become that person that you want to be. So thank you, Dree, for giving me an opportunity to share. And I hope everybody who attended today's call is able to leave here with something that's going to help them become the next version of who they want to be.
Oh my goodness, Mike, thank you so much. You wrapped it all up. I was like, man, you could have did my closing. How you wrapped that all up in a bow. But I appreciate you so much. And what you said is so true. Like, I feel like this is just the start of everything, but there are so many levels that, I want to go to where I know that, I'm just going to just apply these concepts that we just talked about today. Like, I'm just going to remind myself every time, every time I say I want to do the next thing, because for those that are close to me know that there is like one huge step that I need to make. And all of this stuff that we've talked about today has played into that. And soon I'm going to be able to take that leap of faith and I'm going to just have to do it. And so I'm really excited about what I've been able to accomplish with Mike's assistance and with the guidance of Director Carmen as well, like her 40/40 initiative. That's really where I stopped dummying down some of the things that I possess, the skills that I possess. That, they say if you don't use it, you don't lose it. Oh no, I started using a whole lot of stuff. Because I'm like, if I am going to grow and evolve into that entrepreneur I know I can be, everything that I have in my arsenal, it's time to pull it out and come out guns blazing. It's time. Like, I've been sitting on it. I've been comfortable, with, just working 9 to 5. No, that time is almost over with for me. Like, when you put in 30 years almost, it's time to do something else. So I'm almost there. And because of all of these people that you guys heard from today, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. And so I appreciate you all stepping in, and being a part of this experience. And thank you to everybody that has contributed to this experience for everybody. Your voice, you've poured into this experience. And you guys, this wasn't random. It was intentional. Every moment, every message, every voice was part of a process of becoming. Every voice you guys heard tonight, they all have played a role in my becoming. So I personally asked them to be a part of this because I got something from every person you heard from. And it's not just mine, but it's yours as well, because throughout this experience, you guys, you were grounded, you were challenged to release, and you were reminded to move. And in each of those moments was intentional. And listen, what that means is you're not starting over. You're not behind. You're not too late. And you haven't missed your moment. You're evolving, you're growing, you're becoming. And everything you experienced up to this point has been preparing you for what's next. Because the truth is, you're not starting over. You're becoming her, the version of you that your next season requires. The version of you that moves with intention, that makes decisions differently, and that no longer shrinks to fit the old spaces. This is about stepping into that version fully. And the journey doesn't stop here, you guys, because becoming is not a one-time moment. Like Mike said, like we're constantly evolving. It's a continuous process, a decision you make over and over again. And for some of you, this moment was confirmation. For others, it may have sparked something new. And wherever you are, the most important thing is that you don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Because this is just the beginning. And once again, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be present, to reflect, to pour into yourself in this way. And then I have up on the screen, a way for us all to stay connected. Because of Mike, I have evolved my website, inspiredbydree.com. It's been evolved. And matter of fact, we need to get together again because it's time to update again, because this is just the start, y'all. I have a book that I've been working on for years. I've, gone back and forth. What do I write about? Do I talk about my story, or do I build something that's going to be tangible? And I want to tell y'all that God has inspired me to do just this. Like, I literally just gave y'all a snippet of what that book is going to be about, because I've become. And I want to thank you all for being a part of this experience, because this isn't the last time you're here for me, right? This is where it starts. So y'all keep becoming, keep becoming, keep becoming, keep becoming, keep becoming. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it.